On this, not this. Good start. What's up, everybody? Alan, great job. First time I met you last night. You're bigger in person, but it's okay. Where's Coach Mike? He just seemed to have left. Did he go to the bathroom? All right, I want to bring him up and give him a shout out. Try this thing. All right, first slide. Need to give a shout out and thank you to a few people. My guy Mike, obviously I took his place here, so I'm very grateful for him to recommend me for doing this and having, you know, just the respect for what we do at Firm and to have me up here. And, you know, I'd say this, I'm a mid-major guy and it always means so much to me when we play high major teams and the high major strength coaches take the time to meet with us. So, you know, if it's shoot around, like I text Jonas at UNC the morning of the game and he was like, oh yeah, man. And I had an hour with him in the weight room. Like that to me as a young coach, you know, I've heard it twice today. Like that is so important and so cool, you know, in an environment where we're all trying to be our best, we're all trying to learn as much as we can, to have that peer-to-peer time. And even last night at dinner, you know, Matt Johnson, Alan, you know, getting to meet Bree, haven't talked to her much, but love the stuff she does. And, you know, sitting next to Jonas for an hour, Science for Sport, like it's just awesome. Mike, come here. He doesn't know I'm doing this, so just bear with me. This is Mike Bumai, he's our intern. I call him my assistant. He's been here for 3 months with us in our program. When I talk about our technology, I'm going to use the word we a lot. And a lot of it is Mike and sending him down rabbit holes. Hey man, look at this for me. Hey, message Drake. Hey, look at the Connexon stuff. Look at these sports science questions I'm asking you. So when I say we, it's us. And quick story about Mike. You know, Mike just turned 30, CSCS, works in the private sector, has been a Marine, wanted to work in the college sector, just never had the opportunity to do so. Had applied for other big schools, like I say, other schools in the area. And my director graciously said, hey, he's too advanced for our internship program at the start. You know, do you want him for men's basketball? I was like, yes, absolutely, for what we try and do. So met with Mike, he was from Charleston, moved up here. You know, you've been incredible for our program and everything you've done for us. So yeah, we're the dream team. So let's keep rocking it, all right? And then we got Drake. Drake, nice to meet you in person. I see that moustache is growing nicely. Hat on and chewing gum on, so that's your standard fit. I like it. You know, thank you for everything, force plate wise. You know, you, Mike, yourself, just in constant communication. It's absolutely brilliant. Quick thing about the force plates. You know, again, mid-major, we use a lot of technology. Okay, now how we get to use them, I'll talk about a little bit later. But when you have this stuff, I think like this is where the industry's going. I think it's strength coach, and I think it's a bit of sports science, sport tech hybrid. I really do. Especially when you've got to wear many hats in our industry, which I'm going to talk about. But you know, having experts that are easy to get on the call with and text and set up Zoom is just brilliant. The customer service you have, Drake, is fantastic, and that bleeds into Connexon with Greg. I haven't met him yet today, but you know the stuff they do, and obviously it's the NBA accelerometer, and again we're fortunate to have it here. But his impact on our program, I think, has been unbelievable. And I can go into detail with that. And then Ryan, thanks for dinner last night. Great to meet you in person. Jordan, obviously Preston, my old mentor at Florida, had a say in kind of the design of the Designs for Sport. He's the most knowledgeable person about nutrition. When he said, hey, look at this company, I was like, yes, absolutely. And the two things I like about it are, you know, we use the previous company that's NSF certified. Well, I never had someone to text or call and ask about. And I always have you to ask that. And you send me way more information than I ever need. You send me a PDF about everything. I never read it. I just say, hey, you think it will work or not? So just give you a heads up on that. So that's that. Yeah, so I'm English. It's pretty clear to see, although some people might think Australian, South African. I'll clarify, English. One of the main things I like to think about when I do my job is marginal gains. Okay, now what is that? It's British cycling back in the day, so Dave Brailsford. The thing on the left, you know, he took over this cycling program, Olympic cyclists, and they were trying to look at everything they could do to try and improve the 1%, similar to Kaizen, right? So everything I try to do, programming, you know, we got a lot on our plate, right? Programming, strength, the conditioning, the recovery, the preparation, the mental toughness, the relationships with coaches and athletes, the sports science, the research, everything, the nutrition part, obviously. You know, I try and have a Kaizen, marginal gains approach to it. And that honestly is exciting for me. You know, I don't just want to be like, oh, I just I just got to focus on this in the weight room. It's like, no, I want to have the relationships. I want to go speak to a health science professor. Hey, can we get DEXA scans on the guys? Hey, do you want to do research with our Hawkins force plate stuff? Yeah, let's do it. Like, let's make this job, let's max out in everything we do. I don't know how long I'll work in basketball. This is year 5 for me, but I'm just going to try and max out. And I don't know if if I will share too much with you today, but Alan just shared his summer program, so it's probably not more than that. So yeah, a little bit of programming, some nutrition, some sports science. It's always interesting. Sports science to me is like, you're taking like blood lactate. That's true sports science, but I should probably put sports science / sports technology because we're tracking stuff. It's not like taking their blood lactate. Like I say, some conditioning. I feel like it's interesting. It's important to touch on that because you've all probably got head coaches that are like, hey, go find out what UNC do for conditioning, or like I've had VCU. Go find out what VCU do. I speak to Roos. He's like, man, it's nothing crazy. We just practice hard. Okay, well, coach, but like the conditioning piece is so important in our industry, and I know we're strength and conditioning coaches. How many times do you just say I'm a strength coach? Probably a lot, right? And it is easier, it rolls off the tongue quicker. But I think spending some time on the conditioning is important. Autonomy is something I'm really big on, giving our guys. This is year 4 with me. It takes a while to get to the way you can give them that autonomy, but I think that's my favorite part of this talk. So if you're getting bored at all the start, you can wait till that and get excited about it. So programming, this is our summer plan, and when Sean was, I asked him what we should speak about, he said, ideally a macro cycle, so I thought I'd start off there. In the spring, a lot of it is these guys and Alan did a good job in the presentation, my starters specifically, they're not doing anything over like a 3-second tempo at all. And so, because I'm trying to reduce their soreness in season, right? I'm just trying to keep them high threshold motor units, relative strength. I'm not having anyone go, in my first year, we beat a team away and my head coach is angry at halftime. Guys are saying they're sore. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. On the bus comes sits next to me. Hey man, I love you. They can't ever be sore again. Yes sir, I got you. So let's change up the reps. And so, but they need to reuse the tempo, right? Because time under tension and the strain and the total volume is what's going to stimulate that growth in the off season. And we're trying to put weight on these guys. So a lot of eccentric focus, reduce asymmetries, general prep phase. There's a lot of bilateral, unilateral areas we can work on. Tendon health, so some isos, grip work, some prowler movements. Prowler movements backwards. We do the backwards prowler for sure. The side prowler is a walk. A prowler push with my guards. I kind of giving them a hybrid speed strength model. And then, competitive excellence is something that we value, and so it starts in the weight room. If a head coach, assistant coach comes in, they're going to see us getting after it, and I think that's important. They're going to see guys with weight vests on. I just leave them on the floor, and I want to see who picks one up and wears it. Now, if it's inhibiting their bench press, I say, hey, take it off, but put it back on for chin-ups or whatever. And I just think that adds the mental piece of us. We were semi-final, quarter-final, our conference tournament. This year we got to the final. Thank you for mentioning the fact that we lost with 4 seconds to go. That was a great start to my talk. Tyler, don't talk to me for a little bit, wherever you are. But the weight vest, I think that really helped. That moved the needle in the spring for us. The summer, then we split into more specific. So guards, bigs, body comp, freshmen, and outliers. Outliers, I say, look, we've had athletes in the COVID year. So I had a guy that's been training with me for 5 years. He's a stud. He's going to stay at 175. That's wrong, 179. And he's just built like a freight train. But coach wanted, hey man, needs to improve his verticality, needs to improve his power. Okay, well let's do our power progressions way earlier than I ever had before. Because again, every year I'm in this thing, I'm trying to do new stuff, right? That's the best thing about this job, is the trial and error and the experimentation. No one's got all the answers, but if you keep trying out new stuff, something's gonna stick. And oftentimes I've found a good way to do that is with my walk-ons in season. I see them the most. All right, let's try some Javorek barbell complexes. Let's see how that goes. Let's try some Klokov squats. Let's try it, let's just see. Because all they want to do is train, and they're a good little, let's say, guinea pig for that. Strongman Fridays is something that I've taken from Florida, and we are fortunate enough to have yokes. We bought some prowlers. That's a good thing about working for a school that has turned things around. I'm able to get a lot of stuff. I'd rather be told whoa than go. So I'm just, hey coach, I'm all this. Yep, order what we need to be the championship level ball club. I got you. Yokes. So we got those things. We use them about 4 weeks of the year, and then they're just hidden somewhere. So I probably need to get back out again to show some value for the department. Prowler reps. So now it's more competition in the summer. So at the end, hey, let's go. 10 yards, spin it around, 10 yards back, bigs. You're going against each other. That's your C series. And I also try and encourage everyone, hey, if you're not on that plan, if Prowler's not on there, hey, get a rep. You see it there. Let's go get a rep. Yeah, coach, I got you. And then sometimes, hey, let's go. I'll race you. Hey, you rest, I'll race you. And then you develop that culture of work in there. They've got, I mean, I'm not joking. We had hundreds of extra reps on the Prowler this off season. And we were a tougher team. Now, there's no direct correlation. It's not like you can be super tough in the weight room. You've got to be super tough on the court. But it might move the needle a little bit. And I'm definitely going to try it. And you know what? It's a tough exercise. Who wants to do a Prowler? But these guys are like going, yes, I want to do it. And when I show you the autonomy video later, they're doing it on autonomy sessions. That's great. And again, the weight vest we leave out. Pre-season, you know, we've got conditioning in September. Our better together battles. It's an interesting one as strength coach, isn't it? When you do the mental toughness stuff. It's like, okay, you know, it's like a Wednesday. Hey, we're going to do a team stuff on Friday. I want 2 teams. They got to be competing. Go wherever you want on campus. You're like, geez, okay, creative mind, let's go. What have we got? Tires, we got this, how, you know. And I kind of like it because I kind of feel like I'm a fairly creative person, but they're the better together battles. If you've ever seen anything on social media of us carrying ropes and kettlebells and tire flips, like, does it move the needle a lot? Hey, it's a really tough workout. You know, I'll tell you that. And it's togetherness with the team. And I always let coach at the end, you know, he has that message. When it's the end, I'll just step back. He's seen all the session. Hey man, you talk. Like, this is your team. I don't need to be the one always, hey, this. I'm fine to completely step back. Conversion phase, October for me, that's originally, so other than this off season, my first 3 years, that's where I'm doing a lot of my clean pulls. That's where I'm doing a lot more of my gym jumps, my intensive jumps. I'm not doing them in the summer because they're playing pickup so often. They're playing pickup like 3 times a week. So why would I load them on jumps when they've just had 5 months of jumping? I completely get away from that in the summer. And then in the preseason, yeah, like let's do some stuff like that. Let's get some hurdle jumps out. Let's do stick jumps. Let's do continuous jumps. And then in season, I've split it up to high minute guys, low minute, my red shirts, and then a big change I'll talk about in practice fitness. November, December, lift when we can, non-conference. We've got to lift whenever we can get a session in. Ideally twice a week. It's very rare that we haven't done twice a week. As long as we get that one max strength day within the 10-day window, I'm good with it. And then January to March, we play Wednesday, Saturday. So Monday, Thursday is our lift days. So how do I like to do it with my style? Definitely small group training. You know, Alan spoke about like you want to count every rep and see every rep, as it were. That's exactly what we've got, small group training. I've got a rack here. I'm seeing everything. I have their sheets. They don't come in, they don't look at an iPad. I've got their sheet folded up. I write it down. I got that from Colin and Preston, so thanks guys. And they don't have to worry about it. It's an academic school. I don't want to come in and go, hey, what's this? What's the iPad doing? Hey, you can explain this to me. Hey, I'll demo it, I'll explain it. I'll tell you how many reps you got. You got a 5 and a 3 warm up on bench press and pull downs, and then we'll rock. You got it? Yeah, I got it. So every rep accounted for, a file on every player on my desk, every session they've done in their career. So say we do incline bench press in season, the first phase. Well, in 6 to 8 weeks time, we're going to repeat that phase with similar reps. So I'll look back, hey, what weight did they finish at? What weight do I think they can start at? I've just got it on my sheet. There's no guesswork. It's not like I've got the whole team and I'm coaching someone up over here. We've all seen this, right? And I'm walking through the weight room and you know, with other teams, perhaps you're like, okay, I know those guys aren't doing it. I just know they're not getting all the reps in. They're chilling, they're not sweating, these guys are sweating. It's always like the first 5 racks are like getting after it, and then you got like, it's okay. So I want to have eyes on it, and having Coach Mike has been super helpful for that, obviously, because if I'm taking my strength guys, he takes the body comp, and they are rolling, because that is a rolling plan. My key principle based off that, and this was a general prep phase, not this season, last season, is, you know, like I said, I've got the sheets, I'm writing down the weights. The main thing I want to talk about, I think is so important for progressive overload, is obviously the weight they're lifting. The reps stay the same. I only like to program it 2 weeks at a time. I very rarely do 3 weeks. I very rarely do a deload week, unless it's an advanced method for hypertrophy. You know, it's like I say, unilateral stuff. You'll be able to zoom in on this, whatever. I like to see the detail in it. I like to see the competition at the end, but you know, the progression. I want to know if we started at 60 and we finish at 90. Yeah, we've improved that. And so their total load volume, right, is better. And so that's one of my things there is the micro loading. And I can tell, hey, I've started him too light. Was that light? Yeah, it was like, okay, let's go up. And I can just change it straight away. And then next week I know where to start. So if I don't have that, if it's on an iPad, I think I just lose it, and I can write down all the notes I want. The player sees you're detail driven as well. Man, he's got a plan for me. Man, he's writing it down every set. Man, and if we do a team session, which we had before practice, I put them on the racks, boom, 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 boom. So I can coach, and I'll leave pens there. And hey, what did you do your second set? I did this. Well, write it down, let me see. And if we ever miss anything, I'll text them, hey, what did you weigh in today? Because I'll write their weights on the top as well. You know, if they see you in the weight room and it's organized and everything's set out right, and you're detailed like this, I think they're probably gonna give you a bit more effort. You know, how do we split up our groups? So again, it's kind of changed, like, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but every year I try and improve, right? And every year I try and do it differently. So even this current off season, we've had 1 week already. My head coach texts me, hey, when do you want to lift? I said, Monday, Thursday. I'm going to the final 4 thing. Okay, well, what are you going to do? I said, we're going to do general prep, tempo, asymmetry differences. He goes, I don't want to do that. I want to do individual plans starting right now. We've got a couple of guys that, you know, maybe having NBA workouts. I just replied, sure thing. And so I was like, you know what? Like, that's great. If we can start it earlier. So if I can do my summer 1 plan in March with these guys, I get basically an extra 2 months of work in there. But all that to say, before this off season, this is what we would do. They come in, especially for freshmen in the summer, we'll get a body fat scan. I want everyone below 10%. I want to be a lean team. I want to look out there. I want the body comp to be right. You've got to carry all that weight up and down the court. And we can assess that with the health science professor. And so if your body comp's below 10%, so if you're lean, obviously you're not going to go crazy low. You know, 6 to 8, probably a sweet spot. Yeah, you'll be in a strength group. You've got all these hypertrophy methods we're going to try and gain. If you're not, we're just going to be a body comp. So like I said, Coach Mike will be with the body comp guys. It's similar exercises. This is probably a bad example with the similar exercises, but it's just a circuit, A1 to A7. You've got 6 rounds of it. We'll warm up on the main exercises, you're rolling. As soon as you finish A7, you go get a quick drink, you're back up to the top. Cool? Awesome. Now the weight doesn't need to fluctuate that much because obviously you're going to accumulate a little bit of fatigue. Whereas if you can keep a good weight, barbell push press, whatever you want to call that, lat pull down, there's tempo on some of those exercises that we try and keep, you're still going to get some hypertrophy gains if you're doing 6 sets of 6 with a 4-second tempo, right? But you're also getting the jump rope, you're also getting some core, some metabolic stuff at the end. You can add ski, you can add rower, you can add prowler, you can add stair runs, you can do whatever. The body comp for me is huge, and I think that's been a real big emphasis point for us, is trying to get these guys body comp better. Okay, in season. My last year, guys got a little bit sloppy, and we knew because we did the DEXA scans. And it was a couple of freshmen put on a little bit of weight. Not crazy amount, but you know, oh, what's your weight on the scale? That only tells you one thing, right? If it keeps going up in season, it's probably not muscular hypertrophy. If they're playing a lot, that's probably the food. And so in season, the big change for me was making my reserves work harder and having more frequent sessions. So I split the in-season program. Starters, so that's my 5 guys. Everything relative strength work. Sorry, I kind of went off track there, but you'll understand when I talk about the reserves in a sec. Starters right here. Everything was relative strength for 5 months, right? I wasn't hitting anything over 5s like I just said earlier about that story. Monday, I want to do some overcoming ISOs just to get them warm, primed in the A series. All relative strength. You see 3 reps, 3 reps, 3 reps. Upper push, upper pull, lower quad, hamstring dominant. Roll out if we can. I mean, it's in between classes. These guys are coming to see me in the morning. Like, I've got to keep the main thing. Like, I don't know if we ever did the lax ball rollouts and the green band stretch. I don't care. It's all good. They'll get that before practice. But, you know, as you look at the non-conference going into conference, and then, you know, we played on a Wednesday. So Thursday, I was like, I can't make it exactly the same. Like, I need to get them a little warm-up series. So for the A series on a Thursday, I would do a warm-up, full body. Are you still getting some posture training, right? But dumbbell press, getting a sweat on. I just want them moving. That's their warm-up for me. Again, they're going to roll out for 3 to 5 minutes. They're coming in. I need to get them moving. And then I also just do a couple of warm-up sets because I just need to hit some really good weight. So I've got 3 sets of 3. That's my main focus on that. Full range of motion, RDL, Arnold press, chin-ups. Like, we can load that up. And I want them feeling better when they left than when they come in. Because man, if it's a home game, away game, they're going to be tired. Hey, we need to feel better when you leave because you're going straight to practice. I need you feeling good. And I need to also make sure I've got some good work in there. Now, obviously the bottom bit, look, we're not miracle workers, but if you progress and you overload correctly, I think you can absolutely have a soft tissue injury. I think if you are giving them the right micronutrients and you're making sure they get enough sleep and they're hydrated, I think absolutely we can hang our hat as a strength coach on, have all these hamstring injuries? Or like, have we got these quad pulls? Like, I think that that's on work to rest. That's chronic work, acute chronic. And so I think we should look at that. And I'm just, is anyone else when it gets to the end of the season and you haven't had many injuries, you're just like, whew, just give the athletic trainer a fist bump. You're like, we did it. Okay, great. You know, that's just me. And obviously greatest capability availability. So this is the main difference I had with my in-season guys. You know, if you play 20 minutes or left, 20 minutes or more, you're lifting twice a week. You're not doing any jumps. You're doing nothing over 5 reps for 5 months. The new additions we tried were the overcoming ISOs with the barbell trap bar ISO pull. You know, we do it split squat or we'll do it regular. And then distinct Monday, Thursday difference. That in my mind is, hey, how can we improve on last year's in-season model? And then for the reserves, okay, like I'm gonna lift you more. I'm gonna train you more, like just period. I'm gonna see them twice a week because they've earned that and they got to keep the main thing. My reserves, there's still aspects of your physical development we need to work on. So I'll see you 4 to 6 times a week. Now I'll see my body comp guys 6 days a week. Yeah, I'm gonna see you every day, Monday to Saturday, when we have mandatory activity, I'm seeing you because you need to trim up. And there's no excuse, especially because when it gets to practice, when you play 1v2s in season, I got some guys that really ain't doing much. So I can't have them just start to get bigger. That's not gonna work for us. And then, yeah, I do jumps with them in season, all types. Vertical, horizontal, single leg plyos, depth jumps, raptors, everything. Because they need to keep that exposure to those jumps. So if they suddenly then play 3 minutes and then now they're playing 15, 20, well, they've had the extensive, intensive, and also I want to keep them springy. They want to feel good, right? And when they go on their force plates, which we'll show later, like, I want to see that trend as a team because my starters are probably going to be here. Well, the other guys, you got to keep developing. And the practices are shorter, so there's no reason why their power can't develop in season. And their program, undulating periodizations. Alan did a great job of that. Accumulation, intensification. One of the big things we worked on this year, it was like early February, was I did some, you know, let's say 3, 2, 2, 1, 1 with my reserves. And they loved it. They loved maxing out. And I was like, man, I haven't maxed out with them for a while. I say maxed out, obviously that's the daily max they can do. It's not like a legit test. But they're just like, let's hit some heavy singles. And they loved it. So the week of the conference tournament, I planned it, so we did it again because I need them up. I need their spirits high. If you're not playing and you're not doing anything for 4 or 5 months, I can't have you disgruntled on the bench. I need you fired up. If you're fired up because you've had a good weight session and you're at practice, hey, that helps the team. And also, yeah, let's see how we're developing our max strength. We don't often hit heavy singles, so let's try and do it in season. So that was a big thing for us there with the undulating. And most of the time, it's going to be a body comp. It's going to be functional hypertrophy rep range. So the biggest thing was the frequency of training and the in-practice activity. Like I say, when we went to 1v2s, I've got these guys just like standing around, like joking around and getting cold. And they're guys that need to still be leaning out and losing weight. So, hey guys, come with me, let's go on the practice court. And did they enjoy it some days? Yeah. Did they get disgruntled? Yeah. But at that point, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're gonna train, you're gonna sweat, because I'm not getting called out for you not doing anything. If anything's frustrating coaches, like, we're gonna do our work. When I'm at practice, I'm gonna try and be active in practice, if it's technology or if it's coaching players, because I also find more enjoyment in that myself. I don't wanna just stand there and be like, I mean, it's nice to shoot the breeze with the athletic trainer. I do that frequently, but it's nice to be like, no, we're getting in some extra work. And it got to the point where my 2 guys that were doing the autonomy, hey, can you bring down the rowing machine? Sure. Can you bring down the ski machine? Sure. Probably because they're tired of running. Watch practice. And the main answer to that is yes. So game day training as well. Right? My first 2 years, I would just wait for the players to text me, error, especially on the road. Hey, can we work out after this meal? We just finished pre-game meal. Hey, can we go work out now? And I'm like, oh, I was gonna take a nap. Or, oh, I was gonna have a little read for a little bit. So I've changed that completely. So everyone on the road, if we have breakfast at 9, which is pretty common, we're in the fitness center, however small it is, you'll see top right and you'll see that video on the left where I show, however small it is, we're in there at 8:30. In there at 8:30. My big dudes get some fasted cardio. I can have them from 8:30 to 9 so that when my starters come in and come down for breakfast, I can give them the vitamins and I can make sure they're eating enough because some of these guys just don't eat. But it's fun and it's become like a cool culture. And you know, it depends on the time of the year, it depends on the game. But you know, I generally want to give them autonomy with that as well. But if we have 5 treadmills, and I know my guys, we haven't had a big week of running, yeah, they're going to be on the treadmill. I'm absolutely fine with that. Treadmill, is it Versaclimber? The elliptical, and the Stairmaster, the bike, they're absolutely going to do that. Now, I do have guys in there that play, and they want to train on game days. I say, hey, you sure you want to train? Yeah, I like it. I feel like I play better when I get a good pump. All right, man, let's do it. Now, for them, I will absolutely say, hey, what do you want to work on? Just maybe some contract relax stuff, maybe some like kettlebell jumps, some ISOs. Okay, cool. Tell me what reps. So there's an education piece with that as well, which I enjoy. Now, if I say, hey, I want to do like, 5 sets of 12, probably not the best idea. Let's keep it short, and when you're here for 15, 20 minutes, just touch it and then go. That's all I need you to do. Just touch it and go. Get a little sweat, and they're like, cool, appreciate coach, and then they go straight to breakfast. Now, my other guys, yeah, like it can be more systematic, and especially we got some guys that are willing to work and some guys that need a little push. So they need me to direct them. I say, hey man, we're doing this. And well, I'll talk about it a bit later with the heart rates, but we bring the heart rate monitors on the road with them, so I know how hard they're working on the treadmill. And it's not me, it's the data. I'm not saying, hey man, you just don't look like you're working hard enough. I'll just put the iPad there, I'll have a conversation, and they can see if they're blue, if they're green, if they're orange, or they're red. And depending on the day, hey, make sure you get in the red. I want intervals today. Or hey, we're staying in the green. So it's objective. Hope the volume's okay on this. Nothing too crazy, but I'll move on from that. You're welcome. Treadmills, and then they did like a little workout there. TC, I thought you said you had it. It's all right, it's all good. It's all good. Nutrition. So I'm not gonna go through all these, but we have one-on-one meetings with players. And the nutrition, obviously, and their body comp is really important to us. So I kind of run through this list. I ask them what their ideal playing weight is. I ask the coach, say, hey coach, what do you want these guys? I have a meeting with the coach at the end of every off season. Hey coach, what do you want from these players? Cool, I'll write it down. I'll have my input, I'll meet with the player. But I always ask them, hey, what's your ideal playing weight? What do you think you need to work on? Because when you have that intrinsic motivation aspect to it, it's really not coach-led, it's player-led. And that's how you're gonna get someone to do something. It's not, hey, well, Coach Matt thinks I've got to be this, or I've got to be this. It's like, nah, I want to be 175. And this is what it's gonna take for me to play at that level, because I wanna play more minutes next year. That's way better than the external pressure of me going, hey man, you need to eat, all right? You're not 175, we need you at 175. Now, obviously, Coach Ritchie's opinion matters a little bit more than mine, which is absolutely fine, because he determines playing time, he recruits them, and he's the boss. So if head coach says, I need you at 175, that's probably gonna have a little bit more external motivation than me. I'm good with it. But the player has to have a say in their development. And there have been past injuries. We talk about micronutrient stuff. We had a player my first year, he put on 25 pounds, and most of it was muscle. The kid was 17, genetic freak, red shirt, lifted him most of the time. But when he first played for us, slight groin, hamstring injuries. I'm like, okay, did we put on too much size? Did we overdo it? Was he too top heavy? But the kid wasn't drinking. And even in season here, it's 2 o'clock and I'm seeing him in the weight room because he has classes. You had any water today? No. Okay, all right, Mike, let's get some electrolytes, let's get a water bottle, and you're gonna chug this right now. Okay, so we've got practice in 30 minutes, all right? You understand, it's the steak analogy, right? You don't want a dry steak. I personally don't eat meat, but the analogy still holds true. You probably want a juicy steak as opposed to a dry steak. And that's what your muscle is. So if you're gonna go to practice with dry steak and get even more dehydrated, something's probably gonna go. And I assume you wanna play tomorrow, right? Yeah, coach, I really wanna play. You're starting now, right? Yeah, I'm starting. Well, let's hydrate. So that's a nice, when you work with a small group, it's funny, isn't it, our profession? The higher up you go, the less athletes you work with. I always found that really interesting. At D2, when I was a GA, I had 5 teams, and you're like, yeah. And then it's like, well, even at this level, I have 11 guys now, and I've got men's golf, right? Well, if you're Alan's, he's just got 1 team. So it's like, how can you not be completely dialed in this? How can you not geek out on it like with this? But also, how can you not want to help them? Right? You want them. One thing I feel really responsible for is when we have a conference tournament, and obviously we lost that heartbreaker, you got parents coming up to you crying, thanking you for what you did for their kid. And it's highly emotional. And it's at that moment you're like, man, I serve the parents just as much as I serve the kids. When I have kids, I'm going to want to watch them play college sport, not sit there in a suit. I'm going to want to watch them every game. Like, why are they injured? Like, I want to watch them. And so you have a responsibility to the parents. And if it's nutritional stuff, I think we can absolutely help them out because they don't know. There's not the knowledge piece. We have the knowledge piece. These are a few things. So, on the left, we work with a local juicery company. And now this is just a little story about this. Local juicery company in town, in Greenville, great city, love it. And I'm in there one time, and the owner, you can tell she's the owner because there's pictures of her everywhere. So and we start chatting. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, I work for Furman. And for some reason, I was like, I had a couple of business ideas for her. I was like, hey, you've got a gym like 5 minutes down the road. You should probably start putting some protein in your drinks. So like, have some cold brew with this. Like, I just messaged her on Instagram, had a call. And I don't know why. I was like, and at the end of it, she goes, hey, like, I really appreciate that. Would you be interested in us sponsoring Furman, your team? I was like, yes, absolutely. Just completely out of the blue. And so, you know, and then we started this in February one year, and then we had the COVID year. But in this off season, I said to her, and my head coach was now interested because he starts going there. And he's like, man, this stuff's really good. So that always helps, right? Where you get the head coach behind things like honey stinger waffles at halftime. He starts having them. Oh, these are really good. Okay, cool. I know I can buy these from now on, and just give him one. Cinnamon flavor, gluten-free. And so when we met with the juicery lady, he goes, what do you want? I said, well, we've done cherry juice in the past, but it's really expensive. You know, Cherry Bundy or Country Ovens, like, it's expensive. And the most expensive thing is to ship it. I don't get it. It just costs so much to ship. But I want to do it, especially when we were playing Thursday, Saturday. I think it was really important after the Thursday game, in the locker room, cherry juice, maybe an RTD protein shake. You've got to start that recovery ASAP. And when our conference tournament is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, yeah, I'm probably going to want to give them something, which is the point on the right. But we came up with this cherry juice. I said, I want cherry juice. I want it to be quality. I don't want it to be that orange juice stuff that's just got so much sugar. I want it to be good quality stuff. Probably some coconut water for the electrolytes. And that's it. And he gave me 3 different options. One had like some turmeric in and stuff. And I had the guys try them after practice, and it was not a good look. So I said, let's just go basic. And it's way cheaper. And she put the branding on it. And now a few other teams around campus have used it, and parents have bought it from the soccer team for their kids after like a soccer scrimmage. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this is kind of a cool deal. And then the other one, Be Well, we tried, because obviously I wanted to go beetroot juice before, right? It's the day before, and then cherry juice after. Guys weren't a fan of the beetroot juice. I think it tastes like tomato ketchup, so I can understand that. So they're like, I'll drink it, coach. And I'm like, Mike, calm down. You don't need to shove this. Okay, relax. Like, just have water. It's like the morning of a game. Like, it's all good. So we then went to this Be Well, which has got a bit of orange juice in, and some sweet potatoes. So it's got some good carbs. So when we travel on the road, we'll have that on the bus, and then we'll give them the cherry juice after. You know, with the micronutrients, this is pre-game meal, so we'll give the guys some electrolytes. I'll put some vitamin D in there because, you know, again, and the point at the bottom, like, I love the sun, and I'm going to want to sit by the pool, and I'm going to want to go hike, and I'm going to want everything. In season, I don't even get to do that because we're in here 70 degrees and sunny all the time. They're in the practice facility a long time, so they're not getting any of that, and they're not even walking between classes. They might have their hats on, they might have hoodies on. So they're absolutely vitamin D deficient, and I found the same thing at Florida as what you saw. And so I'm not able to do blood tests. I tried in my first year, it got shut down. That's fine. But their NSF, my sports director's good with it. Hey, I'm just gonna get in this. I'm probably getting 5,000 IUs a day, ain't nothing crazy. The upper limit of vitamin D really is like non-existent anyway. All right, I'm not trying to be a sports nutritionist out here, but that's one of the things where, you know, if you're outside for 10 hours, you get in your upper limit? I don't know. Maybe someone smart in the room definitely knows that because it's probably an absorption rate, but it's all good. And then the zinc, you know, the zinc and the vitamin D were key for us coming out of COVID. Like, how can we reduce our chance of getting sick? So our immunity, our immune health, so we have the zinc. And then the fish oil. Some players don't like to eat fish. I love fish. It's the only thing I can eat, so I'm a pescatarian, right? But some guys don't like to eat it. Some guys don't like scrambled eggs. Like, we need to get in something that's going to reduce your inflammation, that's going to help your cardiovascular health. And there's one study, don't ask me to quote it, but people trained, they had fish oil, they didn't, they improved their muscle growth. They put on more muscle than they did. So if it can help with that, with the androgens, like Alan's saying, heck yeah. And then multivitamin, that to me just ticks off a lot of boxes. You know, and I try and give them the vitamin D in the bottle so they're not taking 8 pills. Ideally trying to do it every day. We have the pill tray in our locker room. Coach Mike does a good job after they lift. They go down to the locker room, they get their smoothie, they try and take their vitamins. I'm probably going to look into a greens powder. So Ryan, Jordan, make sure you research that for me. And okay, great. Good little plug, that. I like it. So give me a good discount on that. And so we'll probably do the greens powder. And then on the right here, this is our conference tournament. So we got a new locker room space. It helps to have a head coach that has interest, like I said earlier. So we're able to get a new locker room space. Well, with that, hey, coach, what are we doing with the nutrition bar? Like, can we look into getting a couple of smoothie makers? Yeah, sure. So we took this on the road to us in Asheville, and it was great. After the games, guys came in, meeting space, great food in Asheville, and we're able to give them a shake. And actually in the game days, they were like, hey, at lunch, hey, can I get a shake? Absolutely. We had a freezer in there. We had some fruit, we had some protein, some carbs. We were able to put in some coconut oil for some extra fats, some vitamin D, electrolytes. And in my mind as a strength coach, I'm like, okay, cool. We've hit the nutrition for today. Like, this is good. Any marginal gain we can get when we play Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I want to have it. Okay, sports science. So the thing, how we got the force plates was kind of funny. We come back from the COVID summer, and we were wearing a mask, and I walk in my office, and there are force plates on the floor, and I'm like, our assistant director, I said, Caitlin, you know anything about these? And she was like, oh yeah, one of the health science professors bought them, was going to do research on them. I said, what professor? She goes, Dr. Schneider. I said, okay. Email Dr. Schneider. Hey, Dr. Schneider, how you doing? I'm Matt. I'm our strength coach of basketball. Can we use these? Yeah, man, sure thing. Initially, we were ferrying them back and forth, and then he was like, hey, man, you can just keep them in there. Yes, please. So for the first year, we didn't have to, and this is why I'm telling you, because you'll be surprised at what your university is able to do. You might not be able to afford them outright, but go speak to health sciences, because they might have some incredible technology. Like we've got, I think Carl Vail, right? He told me one time, we got like this 360 like biomechanics lab. Like there's only one in the country, and it's at Furman or something. Now that's too labor intensive for me to go down there, and that's a rabbit hole I'm not willing to chase. I'm not a biomechanist. I don't know what the return on investment for that is, but you'd be amazed at what your health science department has. Even your rec center, like if they have a Versa Climber or whatever it is and you don't have one in your facility, take guys over there to use it if you're convicted with that. So we got them for free, and then this year he goes, hey, can you pay the software agreement? So I tell our head coach, hey, these are important to us, it's gonna cost $1,000, are you good with it? It's basically $500 for each year, I'm good with it. Great. So we keep rolling with this thing. I mean, they were just hand delivered. And then Connexon, this is another cool thing. So we do use a lot of technology at a mid-major level, but Connexon, RJ, shout out to you. When we played UNCG, or when we were in the conference tournament 2 years ago, maybe 3, I knew they were using it because I see him using an iPad in the game. I'm like, hey, and he's a good friend of mine. So I was like, hey, can we talk about this data? So we meet him in the hotel. He's at our hotel with the athletic trainer. He's showing us how they use Connexon, and obviously it's before a team meal. I don't know if I planned that or not, but coaches are walking through, and so I go in afterwards and happen to sit on Coach Richie's table, and it's like, hey, I just spoke to RJ at UNCG. I said they're using this really cool thing called Connexon, and like they use it in the NBA. Like it's really cool how they're looking at it. And he might have said, I can't remember the exact conversation, but it was like, okay, look into that. Yeah, if they're doing it, I want to do it. Yes, sir. So I didn't have to go out there. And then, the COVID summer, I've spoke to Catapult, I spoke to Connexon, I spoke to Polar about all their products. And for me, the Connexon was great because you can wear it in the game. And it's like the players don't feel it. It's not affecting their shot. And so that was something that I really wanted to work on. And then every coach's $1 million question is, I just want to know if they're working hard. I'm like, yeah, coach, I get it. And so the Polar H10s was something that we looked at doing, and you can use it with the Connexon, but heart rate. Okay, they're working hard. Now there's an art to that, because in our first week of this spring off season, everyone's in the red, all right? Now, yeah, they're working hard. What's their RPE? Probably not 10, but they're out of shape. And so I'll talk to a little bit about that, but okay, this is like way too much information, I get it. Shout out Adam, Virgil for this Google Doc. He shares some tremendous stuff online, and this was just awesome for us. This is a month of counter movement jumps. The players' names would have been on the left. Month of counter movement jumps last off season, so last March, April. And so going into the summer training, and he actually released the document like at a good time. I was like, let me plug this in. And I remember looking at the results, and my athletic trainer was working out. I went right up to him and said, hey, I found something really good. He's like, okay, what is it? And I said, look, asymmetries. When we're doing the off season, we're doing a lot of unilateral stuff. We're trying to reduce the asymmetries. And those two guys there, as you see on the right, left or right foot dominant. Well, the two guys that are very left foot dominant and right foot dominant are two of my starters. So that's an issue for me. And the main thing is, it's like, I know if we do more unilateral strength work, which we've worked on, because I feel like it's very rare you actually go for 2 feet, it's going to be a left right or right left, and you're going to be at every different angle. Like the sport is chaos, basketball, right? So I was like, Nick DeMarco influence, I think he was really, and Mike Boyle, they're people I respect with what they do. It's like unilateral. Okay, this is my new off-season emphasis. And I know this is going to stick because there's a lot of stuff out there. Let me do a lot more unilateral stuff. So I know the braking and the propulsive is going to get better, at least the propulsive. But my main thing was the landing. Like, look at the landing difference, 26%. You know, Drake, you might have to help me out between the force and the impulse, what the difference is. So don't ask me that at the end, I'll just forward it to Drake. But those numbers are high. I need to reduce this. And, you know, I went through a presentation with a good friend of mine, and he was actually my strength coach when I was an intern at UTC. So when I was an intern at Chattanooga for 3 summers, he had the job at Florida, Colin Crane, and he got me the job at Florida. And I went through this with him this week because I was like, you know, I want to have due diligence with what we're doing. And he said, yeah, but bear in mind, when they do a counter movement jump, they're just trying to get jump height. They're probably not thinking about how they land. That's a really good point. So I'll mention that for sure. But this is a month's data. And at least if I can show the player, hey man, you are so left foot dominant in everything you do, I'm worried because if you go up and you're trying to dunk on someone and you get hit and you're landing on your right leg only, I just want to make sure we can protect that. I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to try and impact that. So once he knew that, oh, that's crazy. And we got those numbers down. And honestly, I think it's like 1% now or something. And it might be that he's more consciously aware of how he's jumping and landing. But hey, that's half the battle. I'm good with that because, right, when you are consciously aware of stuff, you're subconsciously going to be aware of it as well. So when you're playing the game and you've worked a lot on altitude drops and sticking it and have that rapid eccentric with double leg and single leg, in the game, it's going to be a transfer. So that was something that I really enjoyed with the force plates initially. And then this is all the data we've had on the force plates so far. Okay, so pre-season, we had cord that didn't work, so we had to get it replaced. Non-conference last year, C12, 13, were around the 0.4s. Conference play, when the structure of the schedule was a bit better. Off-season, I obviously did not jump them a lot last off-season. I think we were so dialed in on mental toughness, tempo, let's get the 5-4, let's count the reps. I just didn't think about the force plates. I didn't think it was a real emphasis point. Summer break, so we give them May off, and then when they come back for the summer, yeah, we're crushing them, right? Who doesn't crush their team in the summer, right? You don't mean to, but you're giving them a lot more volume. You're getting it into them. You've got 8 weeks uninterrupted training block. And so, you know, that's the lowest it's been. And then towards the end, when we start to say, hey, we're going to give you Friday off. Okay, cool. They're starting to get, the coaches are relaxing a little bit. They're off recruiting. Hey, just play pickup Friday. Well, that's not a one-on-one tournament, right? That's not a team pickup. So they start to recover. And then the main thing I like to see was obviously when we come back on the preseason, I'm like, oh, what's our number going to be? You know, what's the compensation effect? What's the training effect? What's the transfer? And obviously you see we've got those high numbers. Now, I will say, if you look at preseason and you look at that number right at the top, that is the only one on there that's one player. I don't know why. He was feeling good. Can I jump? Yeah, we'll jump on the force plates. It was one of his best jumps. I didn't want to delete it, so it's an outlier. Okay, so just bear with me on that. The trend's in the right direction. Everyone else is team. And then preseason, okay, we're getting into them a little bit. But as we pull back, as we try and get them ready for the game, you know, we start to see that, okay, it has improved. It's about 0.42 compared to, you know, 0.4. And then obviously the conference play, when we're feeling fresh, this is great. This is great stuff for me to show coach, hey, we did a great job managing their volume of training and their intensity at practice. We reduced the load, we increased the intensity. I got to see those guys more. I jumped the reserves more, and you can see that transfer effect there. You know, and I'm going to briefly skim through this slide. This is something we did with our player of looking at the force plates, and one of Alex's main emphasis was he's force dominant, we need to do more speed work. Okay, we did mid-thigh isometric pull. I'm not a huge fan of that test because I don't have the rack set up, and it's just an absolute nightmare. Like they'll lean back, which hand is it? I'm at the wrong height. It just takes too much time out of the training, so I've stopped doing that one. In my opinion, we do squat jump, counter movement jump, and the depth jump. Yeah, drop jump. But all this was okay, player profile, what does he want to work on? What does my head coach want him to work on? He wants to play, I want him to play as fast as he can and jump better in the A level. And this is my 5th year guy that I changed the program for. Okay, cool. So I can show this player, hey man, all that summer training is paying off. Hey man, you hit a PR in season. You're hitting a PR in the middle of Feb. Oh, coach, I feel great. I'm hitting 0.4, I feel awesome. And then you're doing it quicker. It's real simple. You know, and it was a light bulb moment for me when it must have been in the last summer, a player goes, hey, Coach Matt, do you think we're ever going to get to see this data? I was like, oh, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I need to start sharing this stuff because we collect. And now, you know, shout out to Henry Barrera for helping Coach Mike and I now, but we have a weekly leaderboard. And this week's emphasis was on the contact time from a drop jump, how quick you can get off the floor, because that is the skill aspect. They've been doing the counter movement jump, they've been doing the squat jump, which is the concentric one, but the drop jump, they're going to want to hold all the way down and jump up. You want to hit that thing as hard as you can. And so to emphasize that, and we just give a top 5. We don't do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just do the top 5. Because again, if you're doing like, if your best player's at freaking 10 out of 11, you might lose a bit of buy-in there. So just do top 5, just have the carrot on the stick and make it a positive thing they're aiming for, not, oh, well, I don't need to do this test because this is rubbish. And then, you know, as we've got all this data, my mind goes back to marginal gains and like sports science. And everyone you follow on social media should be like, in my opinion, should add to your development, right? Alan, you've done a tremendous job sharing everything. I think you are a front runner in what we do, and I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant because it gives people awareness. It gives basketball coaches awareness. Man, that's actually some pretty intense stuff. They're doing some really good stuff. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And the stuff you share with the food and the vitamins is awesome. So when you follow the right people, your mind can start to hopefully get a bit, you know, stimulated. And my sports science mind goes, well, we've got Hawkins force plates, we've got Connexon, we've got heart rate. How can we see if a player's scored 30 points? What was his jump height the week before? Like, was he peaking? What was our practice load? You know, when we won these games, we started well. What was our practice load the day before we played? And then did it correlate to wins? And we're always trying to show value in what we do as strength coaches. So before the season started, I show our head coach, hey, these are the day before loads, this is if we won or lost. It's not a direct correlation, absolutely not. But the lower the practice loads, it was more W's than L's. That's all I wanted to show him, just to plant a seed, that's it. You know, when we play our rival down the road, it tends to be a bit higher. Do we need it to be that high? I know we're amped up, but can we be more controlled? So, you know, my sports science mind went like that, and one of the things was, is there a correlation between body fat and vertical jump? There's the technical component, there's the tendon component, the muscle component, the force component of a squat jump, but hey, if you lose 10 pounds, if you lose 20 pounds, are you going to increase your jump height? It worked pretty good for this player, and I tell you what, carrot on the stick, hey man, look, this is your lowest weight, this is your PR jump. Because you're moving, you've got less weight to move. And then think about that on the court, because everyone's trying to play 40 minutes. So think about that, running for 40 minutes. So this was just a cool example we had for one of our guys. You know, this is how we use it. If a player's got a wrist injury, you know, we had a grad transfer come in, a wrist injury. Okay, well, how can we have his practice load? Because he can still run. How can we have his practice load the same as the starters and the same as the main guys? So that when he comes back to practice, okay, cool. Like he's actually been running more than those guys. Because they'll come over, where am I at? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm top 3. Yeah, make it top 1. Make a statement. And if we send out the practice report, which I've gone away from, because I feel like when I used to first send those practice reports out the next day, like, these coaches, they ain't going to click on that. They're not going to spend their time doing that because that's not their area. Like, head coach might look at it. I'd rather just text him or create a keynote slide like this with some arrows and green things. Say, hey, this is what we worked on, because it just fell on dead ears, and so deaf ears, I should say. So we just kind of took that out. But return to play, that's for myself and the athletic trainer. Day before lows, like I've just said. Game day +1. So if the reserves aren't playing on the Wednesday, well, we got to do something on the Thursday to give them that game exposure. Now, does it correlate exactly to what the guys had the day before? No, but they're jumping, they're cutting, they're turning, they're sprinting, they're competing. So we'll do skill workout, and then those guys, the starters will be off with us, getting treatment, and then those other guys will play a reserve game. Starters game loads. You know, this is something that's been interesting, is when we play our high major teams, their game loads and their total game day loads are significantly higher. Well, that makes sense, right? When we're playing Alabama, which we played for 2 years previously, and that's how I got to know Mike Snowden, like, these guys want to get out there at 45 minutes before the game, not 30, because they're Alabama. And so it's just educating them on that, hey man, like, we're going to go out at the normal time, you're going to get your normal shots up, because the last thing we want to do is overload them on the front end. They've still got 90 minutes before the game, and then we're in a battle right at the end, and they're like starting to feel it, you know, especially with the adrenaline and the nerves of a game like that. So starters game load's important. Most physically demanding drills. You know, I know Matt Johnson did a great job in that Connexon presentation of the drill index. You know, and his head coach has been brought into, hey, red drills. This is a red day, this is an orange day, this is a green day. I think that was awesome. For us, we looked at like 8-minute game, 4-minute game, reserve game, Phoenix drills. We looked at war rebounding, and all of those drills didn't hit the game load. So they were like, let's say 11, and the game load's 13, which I'll show you on another slide. So, okay, well, I need to change up the conditioning plan, and I need to speak to the coach about intensity of practice rather than volume. And he's open to it, because if you give him the numbers like this, hey, we're tracking the hardest drill you think is the hardest drill, and it's actually not, and we take out the outliers of walk-ons that aren't doing anything, it's important. Individual season player reports, and I'll give a shout out again to Greg. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We can see, hey, what's the game loads like? What's the practice load like? So games, practice. Okay, well, why do we have a dip there? Why do we have a really hard practice there? What was going on? Oh, we lost 2 games in a row. Okay, we can't do much about that as a strength coach, but how can we help things in the weight room, stretch them more, hey, emphasize the sleep more? Because you can't determine the practice load fully when head coaches are going to do what head coaches are going to do for the most part. But the individual season reports from Greg were absolutely brilliant, and we changed our conditioning plan for that. We changed our weekly prep before the conference tournament because of that. And just a shout out there, and then, like I say, plan the preseason conditioning drills. So this is something I feel like has been so important for us, because you can have a data system, you can have the heart rate, you can have catapult, but if you're not using it in the game, I don't know how much it's giving you. Yeah, it's going to help you prepare for the game, but if you don't know the demands of the game, then everyone in here is working towards winning games. Okay, so if you don't know how hard the guys are working in the game, but you do everything up into the game, hey, we're prepared, how'd the game go? Did we start well? Oh, we looked all right, we went up 5 points. Like, I want to try and use it in the game, and we can do that with Connexon. And it was perfect timing. We had the COVID year, everyone had to be seated separately, and I'm sitting there, and when the game starts, I'm benching players, first media, boom, stop that. So we can see accumulated load per minute. And then we can see, hey, how do we start the second half? Hey, how many points did we score? Hey, coach, like, it's been shown that when we are above 17, 16, which is an arbitrary number, when we're working really hard, we go on big runs. So if that's you keeping them fresh, or if that's just us motivating them to be ready to go, I think that's so important. And before anyone, hands me into the NCAA, it's an accumulated load you see on the screen. So I can't go, hey, coach, he needs to get out of here because he's struggling. It's just a number. I don't even look at the number. I go tag, 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 boom, start the game. And I want to enjoy the game as well now. But at least I feel like we're collecting some data of the game, which to me is the most important thing. You look at football, as in the real football, soccer, right? You look at that, they're doing all the stuff in game. Yeah, I had to slip that one in there. You're looking at rugby, you're looking at all these sports, like they're doing the stuff in the game. Why doesn't basketball do that? And then this is the starts of every game we've had. So I took the teams out on the side, but like, hey, what was our start? What was our intensity? What was the point differential? And we made it, okay, 40, let's do that, moderate intensity, high effort. And that's just important for us to know. He's like, hey, we didn't start well against so-and-so. Coach, actually, we had the guys worked hard. And I get it, it's scheme. If you're playing a high press team, it's probably gonna be higher. If you're playing a team that likes to slow it down, it's probably gonna be lower. So there's that tactical aspect to it. But from my angle as a strength coach, what can I provide? What can we provide, Coach Mike and I, to give feedback? And it was great. We played in the conference tournament, and one of the games we started really well. And I texted him that about half an hour before he had a team meeting for the next game. And he mentioned it. Guys, the start we had there was one of the top 5 starts we've had all year. And so you're just sitting in the back room like, cool, that's all I need. I just want to win the game. Everyone here wants to win the game. So if I can do something to try and help that and use our technology, I'm absolutely going to do that. And this is, it worked out well, the conference tournament. This is Mike at the game. He's sitting there. He's having his water, enjoying the view. Great game. He's tagging it. So we got it for all the games. Lose me on this slide. All I was just saying is the average load per minute in the game was about 13. The highest loads we had in practice were about 11. So in my mind, I say, what is conditioning for? Conditioning is getting you ready for practices. It's not getting ready for a game, because you've got a month until your game. So how can we get ready to practice for 90 minutes and 2 hours at the level that he wants? Well, they're gonna be playing pickup in that time. So in my mind, they're getting the longer stuff. It might not be the intensity, but they're getting the load, they're getting the volume there. I think we need to do more intense movements. Half court, full court. We need to make it more intense, because the accumulated load per minute, as we see on the bottom one, high, very high, can be high. So let's change this thing around. Let's add the competitive excellence into it, where I'm on the baseline and I've got 3 rows behind me, and I'm gonna sprint to that line, I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna get a point. If I win, I've got a manager there saying, Alex, 1, yeah, okay, cool. And we tally it up. Every rep you do, if you win, at the end of the session, coach, here's the clipboard, and he does his thing. All right, let's have a look. Man, heck of a day, blah, 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 blah. Cool. We would count for every rep in conditioning as we do in the weight room, and that's important to me. Now this one is just, again, full transparency. This is one of the sessions we did. Bit of speed development at the start, different groups, competition reps, 1 to 3 work rest ratio, forward sprint, backward sprint, forward sprint, backward sprint times 2. They get plenty of rest in there. And then a mirror drill. I think doing an American football drill in a warm-up is great. If I'm running at you and you've got to try and block me off, like, that's no different to transition in my opinion. And I even tried to work on doing backwards running better. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I'm the point guard and I've just scored a bucket, they're going straight back at me. I've got to be able to transition and move backwards here. And this is probably where my soccer brain got messed up a little bit, because I'm like, I'm backpedaling. I'm facing the play rather than like being here or whatever, or turning around. But I remember one time at practice, one of our assistants said, hey, you never run backwards, you got to turn around. Or, I was like, okay, I maybe need to look at that for next year's conditioning, because that's what we focused on a lot, so that was my bad. But I think you'll understand what I mean by that. Like, we do so much stuff forward. Like, if you do a forward skip and then you say, hey, do a backward skip, they're like that high off the floor. I'm like, guys, like, you think about when you wall up, you're gonna have to jump, and probably jumping backwards. You should go straight up, but some of these guys are jumping forward. But like, let's work on emphasis pushing back, because we do so much stuff linear. But that's some conditioning stuff we did there. How we use, this is the last slide on sports science, or last two, we're getting there. How we use our polar heart rates. We do not use them in practice in season for starters. Because in my opinion, I don't want anything to interrupt their shot and how they feel. It's a Monday, I don't want them going, hey, this thing's pissing me off, this thing's like falling on the floor, like, I'm good. But for my reserve guys that I know I'm gonna be running, yes, there'll be 5 of them out, 5 heart rates. Yeah, you got heart rate and connects on today. And they know when they're on the bike, we can see if it's steady state. We know when we're doing the intervals, we can see that. A head coach knows they're getting some work in, they're getting work in, they're improving their body comp with it. And we can see, I'll just put the iPad there, in between the 2 bikes, just put it there. I don't have to worry about it. I can get a drink, I can be like, hey, you need to get in the green? Or hey, what are you in the gray? Let's go. You know, it's just, it's feedback. You can't cheat it, okay? You can't cheat that. And so we do that, and skill workouts, we have it on the guys at the moment with skill workouts. It's, you know, I want to see, we've also been trying to give coaches feedback. So after the first day, you know, my head coach comes over and says, hey, what's this? And I said, coach, you got to understand, every assistant coach is going to do it a bit differently. This coach likes to talk a bit more. This coach just wants to get into them big time. This one's kind of a medium, so that might replicate the heart rate. He said, hey, I want you to, you know, tell the staff about this. I was like, oh, it's going to be awkward. Okay, well, I'll try my best. And so you try and tell them, hey, like, when you're doing the coaching, like, let's make it, like, I like to do in the weight room, you don't just coach for 2 minutes. You're probably going to go, right, time out in my head. Hey, when you're squatting, push your weight back. Come on, man, you're leaning far too forward, weight on the heels. And then you look at it, yeah, much better. You don't go, hey, so when you squat, you need to have your weight on your heels, because that's going to activate this more, all right? That's my worst nightmare, especially with guys you've had in the program for a while. They should know these things. So you don't need to spend 5 minutes coaching. And I think it's the same with these guys. So, you know, select reserves at practice, hotel fasted cardio, like I say, lift sessions with body comp guys. And you've got guys come in sometimes and they don't know how to work. They don't know how hard it is to do a body comp session. They don't know what it takes to be in the weight room. So you say, all right, man, I'm just going to put this heart rate on you. And I want it for my feedback to see if I'm getting you the levels I want as a strength coach. Of is there enough conditioning? Is it too much like you're lying on a bench just doing bench press? I'm going to look at that. And they can see it, it's on the rack they're working at. And so I'm with other people, I look at it, he's in the red, he's just come off the ski machine, great, that's what we want. If it's in the blue, and he's just come off the ski machine, I can say, hey man, let's look at this iPad real quick. You see these lines? Yeah, when you play the game, you're in the red. So we're trying to prepare you to play the game. All right, coach, I got it. It's all about the transfer. It's the transfer of training, it's the transfer of mindset, right? And then in conjunction with connects on. One thing, if people have got heart rate stuff in here, the head coaches want to look at that pretty frequently. Assistants, yeah, they do. They want to look at that non-stop. So it's, again, trying to strategically, especially in season, I want to just take care. He says to us, he said, I want you to be the head coach of your area. Get in your lane and run as fast as you can in your lane. Well, at practice, I'm going to be over there in my lane, doing my thing. He don't need to see the iPad for these guys. He needs to focus on beating whoever we're playing. And I think that gives him peace of mind if I've got the technology, because he loves data, right? Coaches love data, they love numbers. If I've got technology, and he said to me 2 days ago, I love this thing. Yeah, so do I. We just got to use it exactly how we need to. Because the fitter you are, the more conditioned you are, the lower your heart rate should technically be at certain workloads. So if you've got a point guard and he's doing a skill workout and he's like in the orange and he's hitting the red, he could be going absolutely hard, but like he's in better shape. So there's the education piece, which is why I wanted to make that point there. I got it from Nick Potter's presentation. Now, we don't use Catapult, but I tell you, whatever system you have, it's a really, really good presentation. Obviously, anything from Duke, in my eyes, it's like, let me see that, I want to see that. It's like a secret, right? So let me see what Nick's doing at Catapult with Duke. But he said, when they were doing pickup by themselves, they weren't working at the level they needed to when it was with coaches. All we want is to win games. And so when we have pickup with coaches, we've got some guys in the heart rate zones that are red, 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 okay? You got some guys here that, and don't worry about those numbers, they're fine, they're okay. And then you got the pickup games with coaches, well, they're hardly getting in the red. And I know it's longer, well, technically if it's longer, you should see more in the red. So that to me was just a lesson of guys, like, let's just look at this. Coaches, I want to make you aware of it. When we're playing pickup by themselves, they're not going as hard. Now, I reckon everyone in the room would say, yeah, it's kind of human nature, right? We'll play for a bit. Man, we just beat you. I'm going to go take have a drink. But like, if we can try and improve that, because they're going to do that. They're going to keep playing pickup. We can improve that. I think that really helps move the needle. TC, can we turn the volume down a little bit? Because I've got a couple of videos just on the autonomy piece. Perfect. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about, by the way, so bear with me. We have great kids, and is this still working, TC? Can you still hear me? Okay, cool. Yeah, we have great kids, and I've been with them for all of them over freshmen, 1 year, 1 to 4 years. They know when they come in the weight room, they're running in. They know they've got to wear the same thing. They know there's no jewelry. We listen to clean music. We're going to work hard in there. If there's a weight vest, I want you to pick up. If there's a prowler, I want you to get an extra rep. Now, I'm sure we've all had it where we're sitting at our desk, doing some work, and a guy comes in, hey coach, I just finished a skill workout, can I lift? And I'm like, oh, I thought my phone worked this morning, but you didn't text me. Okay, yeah, sure. Do you want to lift right now? Okay. I want to make the point of like, time is important for us, right? Time is a valuable commodity. So I would love if you text me the night before, yeah coach, I got you, my bad. Okay, cool. I'm never going to say no to someone training. Let's go train. So what do you want to work on today? I don't know. I just, whatever you got for me. I said, well, no, you came in the weight room with an idea of what you wanted to do. Now, I obviously haven't written anything up for you. So please tell me what you want to do. And it's probably in a less condescending manner than I am right now. I said, tell me what you want to do. All right, what do you want? I was thinking maybe like push press and like jumping chin ups and like, I don't know, like just some power stuff. Like, okay, so what's your favorite exercise with that? Barbell squat jumps. Okay, cool. Let's do that. All right, now I'll tell you the reps. Let's do like 5 by 3 and then do this and that. Do that for 4 rounds. I'll be right out in a set. I'm just going to get a drink. Cool. So now they've like had a say in what exercise they're doing. Again, the intrinsic motivation, they're now not in there going, I'm a robot. What you got for me? They're like, no, like I get, cool. Like this is my favorite exercise. Some of those guys love doing Olympic lifting, trap bar deadlift. Haven't read that, or trap bar lift. Haven't read that article yet. Really look forward to reading it. But some of them like doing that. I'm not a big Olympic guy. I played soccer. I sucked at Olympic lifting at West Florida. I hated it. So guess what? My bias is saying, I want to go more loaded jumps. If I still see the return on investment with the force plate stuff, I'm going to do that. I'm not need to try and like do a USA weightlifting. That's just not me. We all have our biases. I think it's important to recognize that. But some guys like it. Okay, cool. Do your hand clean. That's fine. Do you want to do hand clean with box jumps? Yeah. So I try and give them autonomy when it's a session that hasn't been planned. So we write our programs as detailed as we can. Well, if we come in, if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday lift, and they've got a Wednesday session, I might do some more structural balance stuff. I might do a lateral raise, I might do a calf raise, I might do some dumbbell external rotation, maybe some jump rope, something low key to try and recover them because we've still got 2 more days of work. But, unfortunately, my fiance works at Cycle Bar, and on Saturday mornings in the summer, she would teach. So I'm not just going to go chill. I might get a workout in. So I'll say to the guys, hey, optional workout tomorrow, 9 to 10, I'll be in the weight room because I want to get a workout in before the weekend. So I'll come in there, and originally it was like, a few guys, and then towards the end of the summer, we had 95% of the team turn up. So I know I'm seeing them 6 days a week in the summer. And I was like, you know what? And obviously, someone I really respect in this field, Travis Knight, the Gonzaga, connecting with him, a lot of autonomy, a lot of communication with the skill coach. Hey, this is what I want to work on. I was like, let's try that in the weight room. So we had a whiteboard in there. I had a pen here. So, hey, write your name up, write what you want to do. Okay. And like at first it was a bit weird for them, and then they started writing it down. And I don't really care what they do. I don't. We've had 5 intense days. If they said, coach, I want to foam roll and lie on the floor and fall asleep, okay, if you feel that's the best thing for you, maybe not the sleep part, I'll probably wake you up because we don't sleep in the weight room for long, which I'll show on the next slide. I'm good with it because they also might be filling a bucket you're not filling with your training. And that for me was this perfect example of these guys. Like I say, I don't do the Olympic lifting. If he wants to lift on a Saturday and if he's fatigued, but he wants to still do Olympic lifting, cool. He's going to go there with a better mindset for an optional session, and we're going to get a good return on investment. If we add up all those extra sessions we did, all those extra prowler reps, all those extra reps with the weight vest, that's going to move the needle. I don't know what percent, I don't have the study, but that's going to move the needle in toughness. And I tell you what, when coaches might walk in on the Saturday morning, they see the team getting after it, and I'm doing this, and one of my things I would do, if they were, I'd try and do one exercise with them. I'm like, all right, I don't want to have to program for myself on a Saturday. I don't know what you guys are like. All right, I'll do a prowler rep. All right, who's doing abs? Where's the abs? All right, I'm doing abs. All right, where are the arms? Let me keep doing the arms. I didn't see the leg workouts on there. I don't like doing the legs. I go for a run instead. But you know, for me, it's fun, and you get the skin in the game because you get to train with your athletes in that sense as well. So this is just a short video. I posted it a while ago, but you'll just see. And the biggest misconception, I think, when you give guys autonomy is that they won't work hard. So that's on a Saturday. I'm good with that. All right, I'm good with these guys sprinting. I'm good with them writing them on the whiteboard. I've tried to do it where I was like earlier on, all right, let's see if we can do like let's do a 1 by 20. That's a big thing right now, right? 1 by 20, 1 by 14. You know, Dom does a great job with that, and I try and learn from him. But like that to me is just like, that's a completely different way of thinking about it. But look, if we're going to do this optional session, maybe do a 1 by 20. Get some hypertrophy in there for sure, probably stimulate some recovery, and it's very different rep ranges what we're doing in the week. And then there's just no consistency. The guy might be there on the first Saturday, he's not there on the next one. I'm like, just give the guys what they want to do. And honestly, it's easier for me. You kidding me? I'm not going on the Saturday, right, what are we going to do with these guys? Let them do what they want, just they're not picking their nose, they're not having a chit chat, they're getting after it. And one of the best things I'd say as well is, I tell the starters, I tell the leadership council, I say, hey, you doing all right? Just good? Oh yeah, coach, just great. I say, hey, I'm good. When you guys want to stop, I'm good. Like, we've hit 20 minutes, you can just, but you're going to tell them. I'm not being the voice in this session. You tell them when you want to finish. All right, coach, I got you. And I have to remind them because they like doing ab rollouts or whatever. And here's the thing, guys, full transparency. They might have been out the night before, so they might just want to sweat some stuff out. I don't care. I really don't care. I care that they're in there and they're getting an extra session and they're working hard. And now at least they've got a day and a half recovery, and I can have a touching point. Guys, let's be good this weekend. Please do something tomorrow. If you choose to do anything tonight, please do something tomorrow. Hydrate, because Monday's going to come around quick. And what I'd say about the Monday with the force plate, slight tangent, is our Monday jumps were worse than our Thursday jumps in season on average. Because you can't guarantee what they're doing. You can't. They might have had a big win, whatever, but the Thursday, I feel like there's some potentiation effect of the game the night before. And so they're actually doing better there, which was interesting. And this last slide is, you know, when it gets to the end of the summer, all right, I know they need some rest. And especially if they've been out the night before, hey, let's try and give them some rest. We'll do the workout. Let's do some foam roll stuff. Let's do some lacrosse ball, green band stretch for 5-10 minutes. And then, you know, let's just relax a little bit. Like, shut your mind off. We'll do a little bit of active recovery, and then I'll bring them in and they'll look tired but refreshed. Man, that felt great. And at least we're trying to educate them of, hey, this can be really helpful for you in season. If in the middle of the day, like mindfulness or whatever, if you just want to do a bit of this, it's going to help your recovery. Sick weight room, huh? Pretty good mid-major level, I like that. That's my office, how cool is that? You know, so they're doing the active recovery, and like, that made me feel really good. And it's, you know, I like that song. Me and Luke, another English guy, we like that Massive Attack song. I hear it on the radio when I was a kid, but relaxing. I might play it twice. So don't listen to the lyrics. Have a song with low lyrics, low beat, just relax. just relax, man. Like, it's a Saturday, so we had a great week. We done strongman yesterday. We're throwing everything at you, relax. And then we give them the shakes afterwards, and they go have a good weekend, and they're together. It's a bonding moment. Now, this is probably the best session I've ever had in my career. Right? There's probably some moments in your career like, you know what, that one was good. Like, this was the best one in my career, and I tell you why it was the best one, because I really, about halfway through, did not do anything. And I stand here with full humility to be like, I'm good with that, because I don't play a lick. My three-point shots got a bit better. I was a professional footballer for a year. That's my sport, okay? I'm trying to learn this game as best I can. This is year 5 for me. I love it. See things in new eyes. No bias in what I do. I did this to play. It doesn't apply to me. So I don't play when they play. None of us do. So how can we impact the game? We'll try and motivate them. We'll try and have the right attitude. We'll try and have positive reinforcement when they need it, an arm around the shoulder, halftime nutrition. This session, and I encourage them on the Friday sessions in the summer, before we did this, the strongman, we do a little lift. Say, hey, with the autonomy piece and with our togetherness, if you want to go hit a deadlift and it's not on your program, I'm good with it. I want to see you move. Like when you're rest set for 6, 12, 25, like I know you're getting beat up, but like don't just stand there and be like zoned out because it's a really hard program. Engage with your teammates. Go give them a high five, dab up. This is the one time where I'm good with everyone running around. It becomes a bit of a CrossFit class. I'm good with it because I want that team chemistry. I want to see a sweat. Coaches are in there. Like we're not like you can rest for 2 minutes. I've got the stopwatch, but please do something. And then your mind will probably forget that you've got another 6 coming up, and you'll be fine because we managed the load. But they just went ham. And like, you see the chains on the deadlifts. I don't even think that person had deadlifts that day. So who am I to hold them back to say, you can't do, what was that, 405, 420, 435 with chains? I'm good with that. And at the end, they were doing Prowler Race at the end, and it was like one of their favorite songs. Hold on, wait a minute, that one, right? They're just like singing. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I don't know the lyrics. And they're over there huddling. And it was just the perfect moment of like, after the song, they're like, yeah. And it was the end of the session. I said, all right, guys. I said, coach, they're done. You tell them, or then they broke it down themselves. I said, right, awesome job. Now we've got to tie this place up as a team in 10 minutes. But I have full conviction in the power of autonomy because we are all pretty stubborn people. Alan, you didn't like to be told what to do as an athlete. I don't really like being told what to do all the time. I'm sure you people don't. Right? So if we're telling our athletes what to do all the time, every day, do this, do it again, nope, do it again. Hey, be here at this time, blah, blah. Like we're holding their hand, and then when they graduate, see ya. It's like, no, I want to educate you on nutrition. Send me some pics. Let's talk about it. I want to educate you on work habits and attitude, how important that is. So that and I want to see myself as a big brother to them. I can be the discipline guy. I can be the guy you come to with stuff. Hopefully you have someone you have somewhat respect for as your older peer. I've still got some skin in the game because I still feel young and I still work out. But like, I want to have them take the wheel on their development and I'm in the passenger seat. And on autonomy sessions like this, for me, are just so key with that. Thanks for your time. I ramble. I appreciate it. Any questions? Yeah. The point we're at with it is, the answer to that is no. I don't sit down with my head coach and do like, hey, these are the drills we'll look at. There's been one time actually where, I said, coach, like, and this was from Greg, we have those 1,600 load games, right? And I know they're coming again this season. And so in the preseason period, I'm like, we've been hitting 1,100 or 1,000, 1,200. And I'm messaging Greg, how can we prepare for these games? Because they're coming. So, hey, look at your most intense drills and say, coach, this is the day we want to hit this drill and this drill. Give them a little rest in between, like a half-time element, so the accumulated load is up. And then, then do your normal practice. But these are the intense ones. Or if you're going to have practice for 45 minutes, coach, if you want to get into them, you need to use wall rebounding. It's sky high on the load. So they're the conversations we have in that aspect. And it's brilliant. I think we had like the most overtime games in freaking college history. It was like, we played Louisville, we played Belmont back to back, and it's like, and we played High Point. I might be missing some, but like we were fortunate enough. It's like a strength coach's like worst nightmare, isn't it? Losing in overtime, you're like, Whereas if you win, you're like, okay, cool, yeah, we're good. And it really has nothing to do with us. It's all about the guys and making plays or not. But yeah, in terms of looking at the loads, I think it's important for him to know what the most intense ones are. because when he's like, we just want to be in and out, we're going to hit this drill. Like, and I use, like I said, keynote slide, I'm happy to share them with you because it's like arrows, green, tick, X, red. Like you want to make it 2 slides, I print it out, I put it on the coach's desk. I don't need a text from my head coach back. I text him so many things and it's no reply, and then he'll mention it in the staff meeting or whatever. I'm good with that. And the assistants, you know, that might be the one. We got, you know, assistant go, hey, did you see that thing I put on the desk? Makes sense, right? The harder we play, like we go on those runs. So like we got to keep the guys fresh on the bench. Yep, cool. Checking. Does that answer it? If not, we can talk. Awesome. Thank you.